the mistake that many people make is they think that no is the enemy of yes in the world of sales. No isn't the enemy. Maybe is the enemy. Indecision is the enemy. So our role in trying to influence outcomes is to influence decisions. And the decision you're looking to be able to influence is something that requires some clarity around it. You cannot influence a decision without having a few things. Firstly, you have to have the context of the other person's circumstances. And in the world of real estate, it completely flabbergasts me that most people have a conversation trying to influence somebody to make a decision about real estate without knowing anything about where that person's at or how they got to be where they're at. From a listing presentation point of view, nobody goes backwards to where are you guys living right now? How did you go about choosing there? And how's it been from then to now? If I just ask that 3 serious question, I learn a ton. And the spin-off questions that come from that, they just told me all of their experience of working with a real estate pro. They told me their decision-making process in the past. They told me what they don't like about their existing house. They shared all their pain points. They shared all of their hopes and dreams for the future. I never asked them for any of it. All because I was curious enough to get their context, because I know that indecision is the enemy. In the world of real estate, which I know many people listening in, and that's how you and I got together, people think that the competition is another agent. The competition is people that decide to not move.
Hey, Jack Lehr here down Lehr Podcast. Truly blessed to have Phil M. Jones join us today on the Lehr Podcast. Welcome, Phil.
Thank you, Jack. It's a joy to be here. Appreciate you having me on the show.
Yeah. So it wasn't that long ago that I got introduced to this gentleman named Phil Jones, and I didn't really know who you were, but you had this book out. You've been doing a lot of stuff. I was under a rock and I just didn't know much about you, but the blessing came alongside of, actually, I got introduced to you from the Tom Ferry world, and then our common friend, Joe Herrera out in Las Vegas, and just learned a little bit more about you, read your book. And I was like, my gosh, this language just, and this philosophy just matches up so heavily with what I'm about. And I just wanted to learn more about you so that we can help others. So Phil, a little bit about yourself and your background.
Oh man, I mean, we can jam on that stuff forever, but I've been in business for a long time. So I started in business when I was a kid at 14 years of age, started knocking on the doors of my neighbors, asking them politely whether they wanted to have their cars washed. And some said yes, a few said no. Most just asked me how much money I would charge, which I pretty quickly realized meant they were remarkably interested, provided my prices were fair. And it went on for the fact that I did okay with that little business, to a point that by the age of 15, I was making more money than most of my school teachers. I carried on building entrepreneurial sales-based businesses through my teens, and then had that classic, do you go to college type question. Had an offer on the table for one of the most prestigious schools in my country, and just didn't feel the need to want to go. So I became, by alternative, the youngest ever sales manager for a big department store retail group in the UK. Went from there to then help turn around broken stores in the furniture retail field. Stores that used to turn over 12 million, dropped back to 7, had to get them back to heyday figures. We did that for a while. Went from there to become head of retail commercial director for 2 Premier League soccer clubs. From there, went to build an overseas investment real estate company, selling freehold investments in Cyprus to individuals in the UK. And we had a good time for a good time there until 2008 hit. And 2008, the world changed a little, caused some challenges for a few, and we were amongst those few. And we brought that business down, wondering what to do next. I was invited in by a lot of chambers of commerce, BNI type networking groups that said, hey, Phil, we know you understand a little about driving revenue and trading out of difficult circumstances. Would you share some ideas in seminars to our members about revenue growth, finding more customers, getting customers to come back more often? I said, sure, that sounds fun. While I figure out what I want to do next. That's what I was doing in 2008. And that then grew to become a sales training company that grew to become First Book 2011. And as we stand here today, I'm now 8 best-selling books, trained more than 2 million sales professionals around the world, worked in 59 different countries, 5 different continents, been paid to speak nearly 3,500 times. And it's been quite a ride. But Jack, in all simplicity, I still only know how to do 3 things. 1 is to acquire more customers. 2 is to get customers to come back more often. And 3 is to get them to spend more money when they shop. And I've learned that by getting pretty good at how you do those 3 things, you can live a fairly abundant life.
You certainly can. And in any industry.
Correct.
This isn't just for real estate.
I mean, I've worked in over 800 different industries, and I have not found an industry yet where your ability to be able to converse with competence, to influence the behaviors of other people, cannot be improved with the kind of skills that we teach. I've not found a single industry where we've been able to fail. And even having the book, Exactly What to Say, now translated into 32 different languages, the question always raised in my head is like, how does this stuff translate in different environments? And I didn't know the answer to that question. Like, I don't speak Vietnamese or Portuguese or Lithuanian. And yet I found out it does. It does work. It does compute. It does translate, because quite often what we're talking about is human principles. And what people think is that in every given industry, it's different here. And although there are differences, the similarities almost always outweigh the differences, providing what you're looking at is decisions made by people. And even complex decisions that people think are made by boards or companies or communities, they're still made by people. And even in a consortium of 20 individuals, not all 20 individuals hold an equal vote in the decision-making process. There's almost always 1 or 2 that carry a little more weight than all the others. So it's been a ride, Jack, in terms of thrown into all sorts of different scenarios to help people come out on top more often.
I think this is the thing that just really attracted me to Phil, and Sarah was with me. We were out in San Diego for a Tom Ferry event, and Phil was up there as a keynote speaker in this event. And then afterwards, we got to hang with you a little bit in the bar and just have like really human conversations. And, we talked about different sales philosophies. Like, I come from the Sandler sales training world. There's so many different systems and processes out there. There's so many different techniques. And I think the biggest thing that was shining through when we met Phil was that the heart to help. Like like a real human had a conversation with another human, and we got to hear this, like, you were genuinely curious. Again, the big thing you're well known for is, or at least in my opinion of you, is having empathetic, curiosity-based conversations to learn more about, hey, how can we potentially help this person or not?
Right. And I think that's the myth that many people have about what winning in selling is there's so many poster children held up, whether it's movie clip from Glengarry Glen Ross, or DiCaprio's character depicting Jordan Belfort in Wolf of Wall Street, or whatever it might be, parading that winning in a sales environment looks like blank. And my experience is that actually winning over a sustained period of time looks nothing like that. Winning over a sustained period of time means that you've got to influence people's decisions in a way that they're still happy with the decision they made tomorrow, next month, next year, and at almost every point past that, unless something's changed significantly in their direction. There's a different level of responsibility. It also means that you can shoot for higher levels of conversion in those conversations too. And most people's sales approach is based on, like, I'm going to get 10,000 leads, and I'm going to try and connect with 1,000 of those people, and I'm going to find that 300 of them might be able to have some form of need. And if 17 of those go on to be able to buy, it was worth it. I'm like, really? You're doing that? Like, to get through that quantity of data to be able to try and find the gold? Surely there has to be a better way. And it can be when you have meaningful conversations with the type of people that you're looking to try and help. You find out if there's a problem worth solving. You find out if the problem worth solving is worth it at the fees that you're prepared to charge to help somebody solve that problem. And then if there's a fit, you then get to work helping them solve that problem for less than what it's worth to them. And guess what? Everybody leaves happy. But it also means you bump into a lot of people where you find that you're not right for them, or the problem isn't worth solving, or it isn't worth solving at the level that you'd be prepared to pour yourself into it. So what do? You offer those people some really meaningful, kind, friendly advice, and you bid them farewell. And there's plenty of business with that kind of mindset if you're prepared to be able to stay in that kind of mindset.
Yeah.
But too many people think winning in sales is a selfish act. It's not, it's a servant act, but you've got to be out looking to create acts of service as often as possible. You can't just wait for people to show up and say, can you help me now?
That is correct. And again, the servant act is the big thing that that like you're about. Like it's helping. So we're going to get into the we're going to get into a pretty hardcore as to like true scripting and conversations and what those things sound like to help others out here. But the philosophy is critical before we even get there.
Yep.
And maybe you can share a little bit about that, you know.
Well, I'll try and do it clean and quick in the short time we have on a show today. The mistake that many people make is they think that no is the enemy of yes in the world of sales. No isn't the enemy. Maybe is the enemy. Indecision is the enemy. So our role in trying to influence outcomes is to influence decisions. And the decision you're looking to be able to influence is something that requires some clarity around it. You cannot influence a decision without having a few things. Firstly, you have to have the context of the other person's circumstances. And in the world of real estate, it completely flabbergasts me that most people have a conversation trying to influence somebody to make a decision about real estate without knowing anything about where that person's at or how they got to be where they're at. From a listing presentation point of view, nobody goes backwards to where are you guys living right now? How did you go about choosing there? And how's it been from then to now? If I just ask that 3 serious question, I learn a ton. And the spin-off questions that come from that, they just told me all of their experience of working with a real estate pro. They told me their decision-making process in the past. They told me what they don't like about their existing house. They shared all their pain points. They shared all of their hopes and dreams for the future. I never asked them for any of it. All because I was curious enough to get their context, because I know that indecision is the enemy. In the world of real estate, which I know many people listening in, and that's how you and I got together, people think that the competition is another agent. The competition is people that decide to not move. The greatest expense to the real estate industry, in my mind, is all of the people that think about, kind of, could possibly, maybe make a move and then don't. Like, how many people do you meet that have said, oh, we nearly moved there, but we ended up just staying put, and now the kids are growing up, we're probably here forever?
Happens quite often.
Right. Most households could have had 2 to 3 more moves in their life if somebody helped them make those decisions.
Yeah.
But nobody was there to help them make the decision. So the decision remained an indecision for a long enough period of time. That means the circumstances moved past the opportunity that a move could have happened. Poor family end up 15 years in the wrong house because a realtor couldn't do their job right.
Well, I think that's very powerful there. Like a lot of folks just think about it. You've been in a house 20 years, but just think about so many times in your life where if somebody would have had a conversation with me, I probably wouldn't be here.
Right. The right conversation at the right time. Somebody that helped you realize, here's how you need to list. Here's how you're going to go about it. Here's what we're going to get you. Here's what you're going to be able to do next. And they could just join the dots up.
Yeah.
I mean, how many things are there in your own life that wouldn't have happened unless somebody helped join the dots up?
A boat ton.
Way too many, right?
Yeah.
And it could even be as simple as like, oh, I'd love to be able to go try that restaurant someday. And it's always been a thing that you'd love to be able to try, but you wasn't until you put it out in the world that somebody said you would you? Yeah, I would. Well, like, when would you like to go? And yeah, I'd like to be able to go, maybe take the missus for a for a celebration or something. And they're like, well, I know a couple of the people there, and we might be able to get you bumped up on the guest list. And now all of a sudden it's in play. You get to go to the thing which otherwise would have just been a cute idea. And it doesn't happen without some form of intervention, some form of interruption that says, I'm going to help make that happen for you.
Yeah. So Phil, like, let's help those that are out there that are in real estate just have a much simpler conversation and create an engagement that they're picking up the phone and it's somebody that's in their database they haven't connected with in a while. Like, what would that conversation sound like to help them create that potential relationship?
Well, I think most importantly, you've got to look at it and say, well, how did they get in your database in the first place?
We'll be specific on this one. We'll just say they did a search on our website, somehow got engaged with our website. So,
okay. So maybe they inquired for some more information about a home 19 months ago, 27 months ago, etc. Found themselves on your database, receiving emails here and there, opening some stuff, haven't unsubscribed, but outside of that, you don't know much else about them.
Correct.
Okay. And here's what we're looking to be able to try and find out. See, what most real estate agents would try to do here at this point in time is to try to connect with them to find out what somebody's plans are for the future. I don't want to tell you my plans for the future if you don't know my current circumstances and how I got there. So my approach towards this conversation would be looking to be able to bridge that gap, because if I can have a conversation with them that gives me pass through to present, we've now earned the right to be able to talk about the future. What would it look like? It would be opening fact question, which is a structure we talk about in the real estate book. Polite opening, might be, hi, it's Phil calling from ABC Realty. I'd suggest people should probably use their own name. The fact I'd be looking for would need to be mutually agreeable, so something we both know. The fact might be we don't yet know each other. All right, well, that's agreeable. That might be true. There's no like sneakiness to this.
Call it out. Yeah.
Might follow up on the fact is you were on our website, a few months back looking at real estate. And they're like, I was, you caught me. Right? They're not going to say that, but their inside voice is like, yes, that is true. There is reason to be in this call. See how the tension isn't as high because I'm using the truth to be able to get to the point. And then I'm going to give an easy to answer question. Easy to answer question on this may be, well, did you find anything in your search, or are you still living in the same place? See, when I say, did you find anything in your search, or are you living in the same place? There's a level of familiarity to that. How easy, though, is that question to answer?
It's pretty easy.
Threats, right? It's coming out. It's coming straight out.
Yeah.
But because it's specific and vague at the same time, did you find anything from the search, or are you still living in the same place? It's effortless to answer, and there is no wrong answer. So they said I was still in the same place. You didn't know where that place was. But now they've just told you they're in the same place.
Right.
So you go, oh, right, whereabouts is that? And then we're like, well, we're here and here and here. Oh, how long have you guys been there? Oh, we moved here in 2014 when work took us here. And we bought a place at that point in time, and we are still thinking about maybe moving, but we've got no real plans in the future. Oh, what are some of the things you like about living in the neighborhood? Well, like this and this and this and this and this. All right. And what are some of the things that you're thinking about changing in your next move? Well, we want to get closer to this, 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 and this. Gotcha. And what kind of timeline have you got on being able to make that change? Nothing specific. We're not in any rush, but maybe we're trying to do something before the end of the year. Gotcha. And who's your real estate agent? Oh, we don't have anybody specific we're working with.
I think that's a critical question, correct?
Correct.
The way you ask that.
Yeah.
Who is your real estate agent? Because if they can't quickly tell you, guess what? They don't have one.
And look at the difference between who is your real estate agent and who's your real estate agent. And the tonality in presenting it. We have 4 cornerstones of conversational excellence in our word in exactly what to say. One of them that often gets misunderstood is that curiosity is the fuel to great conversation. Now, we can ask curious questions, but how you ask questions can also turn up the curiosity meter.
Mm-hmm.
There's a big difference between who is your real estate agent, like it's a challenge or a threat, versus, hey, who's your real estate agent? The job I'm looking to create is to make it easy for them to say, I haven't got one, not to think they should have an answer to this question that they do have one. The objective I'm looking to try and create is they say they haven't got one. Yet sometimes we ask the question in such a threatening way that they lie to you.
Yeah, because traditional sales.
Right, I got a guy.
Yeah. It's just
like
walking
straight into it.
Yeah, you're walking through the store and they say, hey, Can I help you?
Yeah.
No,
And they're
thank
like,
you.
no, thank
Just
you. Even
looking.
though that you had a very precise thing you needed, you're on a timeline, you got no idea where to look for the thing.
It's the same way. It's the way you did it with the tone and inflection. I love
Right.
this.
And the point on this too is that if you're making calls and you're picking up the phone to your past database, you are interrupting somebody. They weren't expecting your call. You didn't have full permission to have that call, but you had permission to attempt the call. And I think that's what the mutually agreeable fact is for. They, at some point in time in the past, gifted you their contact details to have a conversation. We have to use that fact to get us to a point of permission, because if we don't use that fact and we do the thing that everybody else is like, hey, I'm just checking in, see how you're doing today. How's your day going anyway? Little inside voice is, what the heck do you want? Right? And I can't think about anything. I'm not telling you how my day is, because what do you want?
Yeah.
We got to get to a point of being able to put the ball in play. Did you find anywhere in your search, or are you still looking at the same place? No wrong answer. I was still in the same place. Oh, cool. Where's that? See how like playful it is. It's not robotic.
Yeah.
It's allowing this to be able to dance backwards and forwards. And before you know it, the other person's 4.5 minutes into the phone call, and they've just told you that they probably should look to move in the next 3 months. They weren't thinking that in the morning.
No, because it's that moment in that 20-year span that just happened to happen today because you actually made a call, and with actually a servant leadership opportunity.
Well, and then what happens though is people get ahead of the music, Jack, all the time. So what then happens is you find yourself in a call like that, somebody shows some interest, we're thinking about moving, and they're like straight to, how many bedrooms and where do you want it to be, and blah, 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 and I'll send you across our survey. If you can fill in our buyer's agreement, etc., we'll get to be able to work with you. We're the best, we'd be number one, blah, 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 vomit all over people. Or we try and say, we're going to run some comps and tell you what your house is worth, and we're going to send you a CMA so that you know what money you've got to be able to play with. And we turned something that we already just got to an emotional conversation. We moved it back to a transactional to me to you and removed our value. Would be better to say, hey, would it help if I could maybe just stop around and come see the house, come see what some of the upgrades are that you've made over the last period of time, so we got an accurate understanding of what your place might go for and what you might have as some money to play with on your next move. Yeah, that'd be helpful.
I mean, there's some key words being used here, like would it help? Like all these little things. I just hope everybody's getting something from this, because like I've been listening to Phil for a ton, and I'm getting new stuff. Feel like you're helping me. This isn't for anybody else, but for Jack. So, super selfish. I'm kidding. This is for
it's for everybody.
Listen to this. This is beautiful.
But the point is now is they're now saying, yeah, it would be great. And you just got a listing presentation without calling it a listing presentation. Just to go out and meet a family at their home that are thinking about moving, that are missing some information that is currently keeping them in decision. And you're going to go help them uncover the missing information so they can make a smart choice. You're not going to be able to pitch you versus another real estate agent. Yeah. If I was an agent today, I would look to have every single conversation where I'm in a marketplace of one. No conversations where I've got to explain that my dad's better than their dad. Like, I don't want to be in those conversations. They're not much fun to me. I even have it now as a professional speaker, is I don't want to sell somebody on why they should hire me. And I don't want to be in a conversation of explaining to somebody or a committee that here's what you get from me, and here's what you get if you decide to go with Kendra Hall, and here's what you get if you book Mel Robbins. I don't want that. I want to find somebody with a genuine need and be the only one in the conversation. And I think in real estate right now, with the chaos and confusion that exists around interest rates and market conditions, and the chaos and confusion that is always going to exist with a purchase or sale as emotionally charged as your own home, the further you can get ahead in the conversation, the more likely you are to have no competition. And we're all scared of competition, and they're like, here's how I beat my competition when I'm in the conversation. I'm like, well, why don't you get to the conversation earlier so there is no competition?
Because you're dealing with a lot of this up front, correct?
Yeah. Correct. And I want to speak to people that are thinking about kind of, maybe, possibly, perhaps making a move. Not somebody who desperately needs to sell in the next 90 days. Not somebody who desperately wants to move in the next 40 days. And it might not put money in your pocket as quickly, but it probably will. And what else will happen is you bruise less of your database, you control your customer experience at a higher level, you protect leads for the future at a greater rate because you can now get back in control of every one of these conversations, which means your 2025 pipeline is being taken care of with your 2023 actions. And if you're in the business for a long time, not just a good time, what you're doing is you're treating it like a business as opposed to fast route to cash.
Yeah.
And anybody that's not doing this today, there's only two valid reasons I could see that somebody would not think like this today. One is they're just making too much freaking money and they're too lazy and they cannot be bothered. So I guess a fair reason, right, is, if you're crushing it with the stuff that's landing in your lap and you don't have to be able to go out there and get there to be able to do it. The other reason might be is that they just don't have the right structure right in their team, is that they are got too many excuses as to why I can't get towards that because. And I can't think of anything more important right now than spending eyeball to eyeball time with people who are thinking about considering maybe perhaps moving. Like that is the highest payoff activity that could exist in a real estate business. Face-to-face or belly time or eyeball to eyeball over Zoom, meaningful conversations with people who are thinking about maybe considering possibly perhaps making a move. From there, you can help people make decisions and you can create magic. That to me is even more profitable than calling somebody who's requested information about 123 Main Street.
I think the industry has taught us, all these big portals, and depending where they are on the funnel, it's taught a lot of realtors not to be sales professionals, but to be order takers.
Well, and you know why they're teaching you to be able to do that? Because they are in the business of selling to people who are thinking of kind of perhaps possibly considering making a move.
Yes.
So all of a sudden they can keep your eyes over here. You don't steal any of their lunch.
We devalue ourselves by doing those things, and they're setting us up for that. But yes, at the end of the day, we got to take responsibility. And then there's a gentleman like Phil Jones out here that's putting out this information, and we don't practice. We should not ever be practicing
from a consumer's point of view.
Yeah.
If a home sale goes easily, which ideally it should do, what is the story that the buyer of that home is telling post the fact? More often than not, they're like, we spent a few months searching online to try and find our home. And then one day it popped up on Zillow or wherever, and we saw it and we looked at it, we looked through the pictures, etc. And, then, we worked with an agent. Some dude opened the door for us, showed us around. We liked it immediately. We wrote an offer, we secured it. And the, attorney got us to the closing table, and the mortgage company, got us a mortgage, and we now own the home. And the real estate agent was a bit part player in the game. And the primary relationship that extended for a period of time was the Zillow dating for weeks, months, or years, backwards and forwards. That was the app that got all the touching on the phone on a timeline prior to them being able to do the transaction. That was the tool that they had the most engagement with in the decision-making process. They had hundreds or thousands of conversations with the data points provided in that tool, and handfuls of conversations with the real estate agent. I want a seat at the table in the conversations they're having when they're doing the payment calculator on that house on Zillow. I want a seat at the table way, way earlier in the game. And I think this is a different approach to selling. But a lead is worth how much?
You're right. Oh my goodness. It's the simple stuff that is rarely done. And we practice on the playing field way too often. And I think one of the things that you have shared is like you go into a doctor's office and the doctor just looks at you and prescribes you medicine. They have no right to do that without you sharing with them what your ailment is. And I think you put it very beautifully in your words. Would you mind sharing, Phil?
I don't know if that's, how do you want me to think about sharing that?
Well, I think it's going to be like, if they don't tell you, you have no right sharing it with them, right?
Right. And selling is earning the right to make a recommendation.
That's it.
Which means you should never, ever, 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 ever invite somebody to do something unless you can say these words first. And the words you should look to say first are the words because of the fact that you said. Because of the fact that you said blank, blank, and blank, then for those reasons, what I'd recommend you do is blank, blank, and blank. And it's such an easy framework and structure to think about in your conversations with prospects, clients, and anybody for that matter. It's really easy in theory. It's kind of challenging in practice.
Yeah.
Because the challenge is collecting the blanks. You've got to have the evidence to put in those blanks to be able to make statements like because of the fact that you said. There needs to be things they've said. Right?
Yeah. I mean, there's a question tree that you
Correct.
have built or you build based on an industry or based on a circumstance.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, think about, you speak to a renter right now that is thinking about being able to enter the home buy market. You need questions like, well, how important is it to you that you control your long-term expenses and actually own your own home? Well, it's pretty darn important. But like on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being like this has to happen and 1 being it's just a cute idea, where you at? They're like, no, it's a 10. I've got to own our home at some point in time. Hey, and help me understand this. Are you in a position that you can buy something today? Well, yeah, I'm in a position that I can do it. And how do you feel about like the security around your job and your future income and where your money's coming from? Is that stable, or is there a chance that might fall over? No, it's pretty stable. You're in pretty good shape. Yeah. So could it be possible that house prices will go up in the weeks, months, and years that run on from now? Yeah, I guess it could. Could it be possible that interest rates go up in the weeks, months, years that follow from now? Could it be possible that lending criteria might make it harder for you to get access to capital at some point in time in the future? And could it also be possible that at this moment in time, with all the uncertainty that exists in the market, that you might be able to pick something up without the competition that you would in an ulterior market? Well, yeah, I guess it could. Got it. So listen, because of the fact that you said that you really want to be a homeowner, that you don't want to continue paying rent prices, and that you're hyper aware that prices could go up in the coming years and it could get even harder for you to be able to buy, but you can afford to be able to do it today, then for those reasons, what I'd recommend that we do is that we really lean heavy into this existing market and see if we can use your strength of position to be able to secure you something that otherwise might have been a touch more difficult. Does that make sense? But by alternative, what agents are saying is here's what I think you should do. Because they're the expert.
Well, that's way before even a question is asked.
Correct.
Phil, I think you should do this.
Yes.
How do you know what I should be doing?
I think now's a great time to buy a house. You do? You don't know enough.
Yeah. How's the
I'm
market?
even seeing it
It's
with
great.
people with their content and their emails and the things that they're writing is, it's a great time to buy. If it's always a great time to buy, it means it's never a great time to buy. Just need to add more specificity.
Yeah.
People don't want to know that if this is the best time to buy. They just want to know, is this a smart choice for them to make today?
Let's suppose you were tasked to help a real estate agent that has a great heart. He or she is a wonderful human being, and they need help driving their client to success, whether it's buying or selling. And they're just having conversations with people that are in their pipeline, but they're having trouble getting them to the to the deal.
Okay.
Without the high pressure foolishness, like could you share with everybody out there, because there's a lot of those folks out there that are struggling.
Okay. And what do you mean by getting them from low stakes conversation to the deal? Give me some more context on that.
Yeah, the deal, the transaction would be this: like they have a buyer that gave intent.
Yeah.
They've had the conversation that said, I definitely want to buy in the next 6 months or 3 months, and they're having difficulty getting them to a ratified contract or an escrow.
Right.
Does that help?
And are they making offers or no offers?
Some on occasion. They're making
like
offers.
Loose, flirty type offers, trying to.
There might be some decent offers on occasion, but it's just no real major.
You don't feel like they're fully committed to being able to actually dive into the purchasing process.
I think that's it. Okay. Yeah.
The strategic approach to take here is, in the conversation, play for the opposition. What I mean by that is, let's question the prospect about all the reasons why they wouldn't do this. So find some time to help frame the conversation to say, look, I understand this is an important decision, not a big decision, an important decision or a significant decision. And what's imperative to you is that you do what's right for you, your family, and something that's going to set you up for long-term success. And they're like, yes. Now we're on the same side, right? Let's build a frame for the purpose of the conversation.
Yes.
Knowing that both of us want you to get this right, I thought, well, don't we just look at some of the reasons why you wouldn't do this? Firstly, answer me this: is do you love renting? Well, I don't know, say we love it. I mean, there's some things I quite like about the fact that we don't have home maintenance issues, etc. But we do have home maintenance issues, and I have to call somebody, and then sometimes they show up, and they tend to fix stuff, but they don't fix it the way that I'd like to see it fixed, and I don't get to choose any of the things that I would like to be able to choose, and I don't. Okay. So you don't love renting. You don't see yourself renting for the rest of the time. You're not going to be one of these people that is trying to convince the rest of the world that renting a house is a smart idea. No, that's not us. Got it. So you definitely want to be able to buy someday. Let's look at some other reasons why you might not buy today. Okay. And I'm going slow on purpose on this.
Great.
How long do you see yourselves living in this neighborhood? Are you here for a year, 3 years, longer than 3 years? Oh no, we're going to be here for the foreseeable. I mean, we're going to be here for at least 5, 7, 9 more years, at least. Got it. Okay. So you're not going to buy something and then perhaps need to sell it in 6 months because of a drastic set of changing life circumstances, or because you think you can flip this thing and you've been watching too many TV shows that think that you can make a ton of money on buying a home and sticking a coat of white paint on it and becoming a gazillionaire. No, that's not us. We want a home to be able to live in. Got it. So you're going to be here a while. You definitely don't want to rent forever. Okay. Hey, can you afford it? Can you afford to buy a house? Yeah, we can afford it. We can afford the payments. We can afford the down payment. We can afford some of the home improvements. And you've been saving for that for a while? Yeah, we've been saving for a while to be able to do that. And what were you saving for? Well, we were saving to buy a house. Got it. So you've been saving to buy a house. You definitely don't want to rent. You're going to be here for a while. Okay. You seen anything you like? Yeah, a few things we like. You see anything you can see yourself living in? Yeah, a few actually. So why not that house then? Why not it? What was wrong with it? Well, no, not much was wrong with it. It was great. I mean, I really liked it. I think it's still on the market. We like the view. We like the outlook. We like the parking. We like the garage, etc. So there must be something wrong with it. No, it was pretty close to perfect. But there has to be something wrong with it, because otherwise we should probably be looking to try and buy it, right? Yeah, maybe. So I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm just here to try and help you work through this significant decision. And here's some things that we've just established is you definitely don't want to rent, and it's important to you to own your own home. You can afford to do it now. You see yourself living here for a while. You've looked at a number of houses to see what you do like and what you don't like. There is one that you are really struggling to try and find fault with that is on the market right now, that you're currently leaving at risk to being somebody else's home and not yours. Why? I'm not telling them anything, am I?
No.
It's getting in the mess with them and asking them the questions they should be asking themselves to try and help reach a position of clarity.
Yeah.
I'm either going to find the truth or they're going to find the truth, and that then sets them free.
And like, where do you take it then? Like, that's that self-discovery.
So now they're like, no, I think we like the house.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so how much do you like the house? And they're going to be like, no, we like it. I'm like, okay, well, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being you like love it more than you love life itself, and 1 being that you think it's kind of cute, where you at? Well, we're like an 8. So you like the house. Got it. Which means that if we're going to get involved in showing interest in this house, you don't want to lose. No, I don't want to lose. Okay. So the way I see it is you have 3 options. What you could do is we could present, a cheeky, sneaky, lowballed offer, cross our fingers and, hope that for some reason or another that the seller is desperate to be able to get out of this thing quickly, and gives you the bargain of the century, but maybe risk both the listing agent and the seller seeing you as a serious buyer. Could do that. Alternatively, we could do nothing, just keep waiting. You could keep spending hour after hour after hour searching the portals, waiting for the perfect house, texting each other about it all day, every day, stealing hours of each other's time about something and make no progress. We could keep playing that game. Or alternatively, we could package a sensible, serious offer that demonstrates to both the seller and the listing agent that you're ready to be able to make this home your own. Out of those 3 options, which one do you think sounds the smartest choice? But no pressure. You do you.
Yeah. Gosh, love this. Well, I think
slower though, right?
Yeah. It's
not really though. It took 12 minutes in conversation, and instead people are having a 30-second conversation and then 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years worth of back and forth on text, emails, just following up, checking in, circling back, touching base, and other inappropriate things. It doesn't have to be that way. And I think the realization that the more and more people should understand is your success in this business has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with your ability to go and help other people. And too many people are creating look at me content and look at me conversations, as opposed to trying to have come with me conversations. And the ability to stand side by side with the person you're looking to try and help first means that you've got to get into the mess with them. And this is what too few people are prepared to do. They won't get in the mess. They want to be able to help from in the commentator's box or up in the grandstand. Like, you got to go help on the field of play.
This is incredibly powerful, Phil. Like the things that you're sharing here, it just really, like, this particular situation was actually for somebody in my world. That's, I'm gonna send this to him and say, I need you to just really, because again, you're big on slowing down to speed up. We can have these 30-second conversations that don't lead to anything, and 19 follow-ups again 3 years later, and maybe get lucky and hit them on that one
also,
moment.
the job sucks, Jack, as well, right? if you're having thousands of conversations to find 5 clients in a 12-month period of time, your job sucks.
Yeah.
It doesn't even matter if you make good money. Your day-to-day is not much fun, which means you won't do it for a long time because it sucks.
Yeah.
If you're helping people solve real problems, you go home that night and you're like, I did good work today. Jim and Sally are going to make a move, and I'm certain it's right for them. They're going to be so happy about what it is that they're doing, and I helped them do that.
Yeah. Again, incredibly super powerful. Maybe just one last quick thing. Not that it's a quick fix, but it's also just like that quick investment in time and yourself. What should someone be doing that really wants to fall in love with sales and really go all in to learn more about being a better sales professional? What could they be doing right now?
So much. Firstly, decide that it's a profession. And as such, that if you want to be a professional operating at a professional level within a profession, you're never finished. Like a professional golfer does not be like, I'm good at golf, I'm going to go play more tournaments, see how I get on. A professional golfer is continually working, reanalyzing, re-inputting, refining, rescheduling, and looking to better get better and better and better.
Yeah.
So that's a mindset thing, is if you want to be a pro, this means that you need a professional mindset, professional work ethic, and professional skills, all of which need to be serviced and nurtured probably daily. So there's the first thing to be able to do. If you want to be professional, then go read everything that's ever been written on sales. And start with things like Dale Carnegie's How to Influence and Influence People. Don't start with spin selling. Don't start with a objection handling book. Start by trying to understand people.
Yeah.
Because everything else is just tactics. And if you don't actually have an understanding on human behavior and how decisions are actually made, everything else is irrelevant. So read Cialdini's work around influence and persuasion. Read 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And go back to some of these fundamental learning systems that don't describe how you sell, they just describe how people think.
Yeah. It's the super basic stuff. It is fairly simple, but the complexity is
it's not easy though. Simple doesn't mean easy.
Yeah.
Basic doesn't mean easy.
Yeah.
It just means that you don't have to overcomplicate it. Then the other thing that I'd look to better do if you want to win in sales is move the finish line of what success looks like in every customer interaction. Too many people have the finish line at the closing table, or when the credit card gets swiped, or when I secure the purchase order. What we should chase by alternative is genuine gratitude of the person that we were looking to try and help. Let's keep the through line of a real estate conversation is nobody wanted to buy the house. They had a belief that the house would deliver on a promise for them in some kind of way a little bit later down the tracks. Care about that. Care about, did you help them deliver the outcome that was imperative to them? Not did you get them to a start line? Did you get them to a checkpoint past that start line that says this was worth it? Because if you don't care about that, every single one of your conversations is going to be linked towards this shorter finish line. And we'll use the example of recruitment in real estate, where people are running around saying, join my team, join my team, join my team. My team's awesome. Come here. The water's lovely. And missing the point. What we should be being able to do there is to move the finish line towards something that matters, towards the person that you're looking to try and influence, or in this case, recruit, which isn't come over to our world because the water's lovely and you'll earn more money. It's probably better to have an understanding of what's important to that other person. And they might want more money and more free time, but for what? And for why? And what would the consequences of not doing that be? So you want to be able to say to somebody that when you're under the belief that the right person for your team is, come over to us, and the systems and the tools and the training and the infrastructure of others it's going to mean that you can spend more of the time that you said you wanted to spend back at home with your loved ones. It means that you're going to be able to enjoy more meaningful sleep at night. You might even be able to get to enjoying more meaningful sex. I mean, who knows? Because what you have is a team of people supporting you, that you don't have to be worried about every step of every part of the dance in every real estate transaction that is currently causing you all sorts of different headaches. And what you'll also find is that, unlike every month in your business right now, where you said that it's frustrating to you that start from zero, it doesn't matter if you had a good March, like April starts from the same position of zero again, you get a chance of being a part of something bigger that will allow you to build something that has some real legacy attached to it, and something that'll put you in a situation where you'll start to be able to buy back time. And I know how valuable your time is, and I know how little time that you have to be able to spend on all the things that you currently care about. And I'm really looking forward to having a conversation with you 6, 9, 12 months down the tracks, when you're finally being able to get yourself back in shape, and that you're in a situation that you are not just busy with busyness, that you're busy living your life. So I'm not saying you have to come this way, but like, you do you, whatever you think feels right.
The simple stuff. I love this. Again,
move the finish line.
Yeah, moving that. I just I'm super grateful, Phil, that we got to spend some time here together. And there's some pretty awesome people that do watch this and have subscribed, that I'm going to send it out to a few folks in particular that I believe could be should come into your world, because you have some programs that you run up in New York City where you're training, and they can get Phil exactly what to say certified, correct?
That's right.
And then you also have a program for like the guide program, correct?
We certify people who are licensed to then deliver and train our work. Yeah, that's a program that's in play, and we have some more openings for that in 2024 and 2025. Focus right now is developing the competence of our existing guide community and helping them grow strong.
Yeah.
I'm committed to spreading the message of the work around exactly what to say for the rest of my professional career. So we're in no rush. We're committed to being able to do it right. But our certification programs are very much slowed down, helping people understand the work behind the work within the examples, exactly what to say, teaching people to understand how that they can craft and develop their own question trees towards the critical conversations that matter in their life. We teach them all 4 cornerstones. We share with them a framework to be more influential in every conversation, and then 32 sequences of words and how to stack them in the right order and utilize them for different things, whether it's rejection-free openings, whether it's shifting somebody's perspective, whether it's accelerating a speed of decision, whether it's looking to be able to stay in the game on a conversation where they felt like they may have been losing. It's how do you get more, or how do you overcome indecision? Like, it's very much not just here are some words and it's fun. It's very much saying, look, we're going to introduce you a ton of tools, and then we're going to teach you how to be able to carve, craft, and create magic by not viewing words as like checkers moves, which is what the rest of every industry does, is like, they say that, you say this. We're way more elevated than that. We teach people to play chess when everybody else is playing checkers with sales conversations. And yeah, I personally host 4 of those a year in our offices in New York City, 16 people max. We have a great time. And then, our certified guides are running certification programs across the US and then in turn the world. So we have some up in Canada and some starting in the UK back end of 2023. And we're going to keep growing that network of how people can access a different way of being able to influence and persuade others that perhaps is a touch more human than the stereotype that we've bumped into in the past.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the beautiful things, is that I know 2 of your certified guides, And then I know a number of people who've gone through I know quite a few have gone through your program and just come out going, wow, life changer, game changer. And I just want to be able to share this with people in my world. Really, Phil, that's why I wanted you here today, because like,
thank you, friend.
You're helping a lot of people, and I'm just grateful that you're here today.
Hey, well, thank you for inviting me on the show. Thank you for all the great work that you put out into the world. Anybody wants to continue the conversation with me in any way, you'll find me on Instagram at Phil M. Jones UK. If you want to see more about some of the stuff we're involved in, either drop by exactlywhattosay.com or philmjones.com, and you'll learn a touch more about our world across on those two sites.
Most definitely. So please hit up Phil, follow him on social media. He's providing so much value. And again, Phil, I'm grateful that you joined me on the Lehr today. If this resonated with you, please like, subscribe, share, and please become a part of Phil Jones's life, because he's the real deal. I'm grateful for you, Phil. Thank you.
Thanks, Jack.